Hey guys, gals, and MBs. Not characteristic of me, I'm making another video in the same weekend, and I just had this idea. The first thing is I'm feeling a little under the weather right now because I just started ADHD medication, and it's making me extremely nauseous and have extreme hot flashes. But the crazy part about it is it's starting to work. It's a non-steroid based one, so I was surprised it already kicked in. It's only been a few days, but I'm like laser focused on doing things that I actually want to do, like make music or something like that, which I'm usually not. I kind of just like drift around when I make music. I usually like browse the internet while playing a synth with I'll have my phone in one hand and play a synth in the other hand, and just for all that, for the dopamine hit with that. But hey, I'm making another video this weekend, and I have the TEO-5, and so I'm just bringing that up because usually I don't have multiple videos in one weekend, so don't expect it, but maybe do. Maybe more than one video a week. Who knows? Anyway, we're going to make a really cool patch. We're just going to get right into it. I'm going to make a synthesis-based harpsichord patch because of the kind of music I generally do. Revolves around RPG/Renaissance style music for my side projects. Then harpsichord is fantastic, isn't it? It's something you hear. And we're going to do it on the TEO-5 because it's got 3.0 FM. It's one of the only synths on the market that's an analog synth with 3.0 FM, and it works pretty good. The Artemis is the other one that I can think of. I know they do have that one synth that's based completely on 3.0 FM synthesis. I think it's extremely expensive. But yeah, all right. So we're in an init patch. We're just going to we're straight into it. So we have an init patch which just comprises of a sawtooth. What we want to do with the second oscillator is go ahead and bring it in as a triangle. I don't think it matters because from what I read, the 3.0 FM on these specific SSI chips that are in this synth, I believe it's SSI, synths in here use the triangle core to do the FM, so you really don't get much variance on that, but it works. So now what I want to do is I want to bring up the actually we're going to turn on sync, so we're going to keep this as stable as possible. Make sure your synth is calibrated, the voices are calibrated, and it's been warmed up for at least 15-20 minutes to make sure everything's stable, because PWM or we're just going to use the pulse width, we're not going to modulate it, and the X mod are all sensitive to tuning. So all right, so let's bring in sync. This is going to be sync and FM. So here, I'll turn on down X mod because in a default patch, X mod's off. So yeah, so we're going to bring up the first oscillator. We're going to bring in second oscillator. Sorry, I'm like all over the place. We have both oscillators on, and now we have sync on. We want to turn on all of the waveforms on the first oscillator. And now what we want to do is just play a note. Sounds really hollow, which is fantastic. We're having those harmonics that have almost a harpsichord-esque sound. If you hear a harpsichord, it has a very hollow resonance to it. It sounds really nice. I love the sounds of harpsichords. Okay, so frequency 1 is now going to kind of influence our cross mod and our syncing. So here, it's not going to change pitch. Watch. That's really nasally. I like that. It almost sounds actually like a transistor organ, doesn't it? All right, so now we also want to change the pulse width since we have a square wave here, and we're going to make it as narrow as possible. Again, we're going for the nasally, so let's hear. It's no change in the pulse duty cycle. Right there is really nice. All right, let's change our frequency a little. Okay, C2 is actually really nice. So let's have the tuning at C2 octaves above middle C. That's nice. And we basically have a lot of the core sounds that we want for that harpsichord. But the envelope is obviously not shaped for that. So the first envelope we're going to shape is the amp envelope, which is our default here in envelope 2 in an init patch. We want to have a lot of release. We're probably going to tune the frequency 1 a little more to be a little more harpsichord-esque once we get the envelopes shaped. Let's go ahead and turn off the cutoff all the way, because now we're going to go to the filter envelope. Want to turn it on about here, maybe 75% in towards the positive side. And then what we want to do is turn the sustain all the way down. Add a bunch of release. So I'm only twisting it to get it back in. So what happens in a standard configuration on the TEO-5 and the TEO-5, if you have the knob set somewhere and then you move it in an init patch, it'll go to that value. So it's going to have a bunch of release. But because we have no sustain, we're going to use decay. Let's turn up a lot of decay. Okay. Okay, so the only other thing we're missing is the cross mod, but first we're going to change the frequency a little. All right, and now that we're or we have sync on, the cross modding is going to be pretty damn stable. Okay, let's play with our frequency a little. Play with the cross mod. We don't want the cross mod too high, because what's going to happen is you can hear that. You hear some artifacting. If you turn it up too high. Actually, that's funny. If you turn it up too high, it doesn't really do it. Well, I mean, maybe. No, but... Okay, so there we go. There's the major harpsichord sound. Now we can just kind of mess with the settings. I would play around with the X mod is going to be your biggest change in your frequency 1 when you're synced. And it's going to be dependent on the temperature of your synth, the calibration of your synth. So like I said, make sure it's in calibration. And I don't know, particularly maybe some values of the passive components on the board might even play into that, because I've noticed that I've had a few TEO-5s and they all sounded a little different when it came to how the cross mod worked, but it could have just been difference in temperatures and tuning. So it's, even though the SSI chips in here are pretty damn stable, I think they only have like a 1 cent per octave deviation in the intonation, so they're not bad. Well, when they're fully tuned and temperature stable, of course. All right, so I'm messing with the tuning again. Okay, we see a little, or hear a little bit of artifacting with the X mod. We can also change the pulse width a little. Yeah, see, there's that artifacting I was talking about. All right, so let's add a little more decay here. Maybe a little more release. Okay, a very, very cheesy, very unrealistic sounding harpsichord, which is fantastic when you're doing electronic style, I guess, Renaissance style music, or for a JRPG. It has this tacky nostalgia-ness to it. We could add a little bit of effects to it. Usually I would add external effects to it because I'm not the biggest fan of the internal effects, obviously. The reverb is pretty meh at the best of times. It's not the worst reverb I've heard. The worst reverb I've ever heard on a synth that I've personally owned is either, I think it's the Blofeld. The Blofeld does some bad reverb. So let's just go ahead and turn on the reverb. Let's go ahead and turn it about here. Let's turn the size all the way up, or not all the way up, but maybe about 75%. Turn the pre-delay down. Let's turn up a lot of decay. Alright, and let's go ahead and dampen it with the tone control. So let's go all the way to the low pass filtering side. Let's turn down the mix even more, so it's just kind of there, And you know what signature thing I'm missing from my patches? Let me turn the size all the way up. It's a sequential style synth, even though it has the Oberheim name on it. And you know what that means? We have pan spread. So we're going to go into the source menu. We're going to choose mod slot, 3. Let's just make it mod slot 3. Sorry about the blown outedness of the OLED screen, but that's just because my studio is really bright. We're going to go ahead and find voice spread. Then we're going to go down here, and then we're going to go all the way. It's always so hard to find. Like I said, it should be the first damn setting. All right, and we're going to turn this up to 100 so we get it nice and wide. So let's turn off the reverb really quick and hear the pan spread. Let me get in a proper position to play this. I'm using my new launch key Mark IV 49 key off screen right now, and I'm still getting used to the keybed. I absolutely adore it though. But because this synth right here is like right in the middle of my peripheral field, and the ports on the SL49, or I called it the SL. It's the launch keys 49 Mark IV, not the SL. It has the ports in the middle. It's kind of hard to not have my keyboard off center. So usually I obviously play the keyboard without looking at it, but I'm transposed here because of where I'm sitting. Guess I could use transpose on this, huh? Alright, so yeah, that sounds really great, doesn't it? With the pan spread, let's turn on the reverb again. Try a different. Yeah. You can always add a little bit of delay in there too. I don't know what that actually sounds like because I haven't tried it. Let's do that. Let's turn up the delay time. Let's turn up the depth to 50/50, and let's add quite a bit of feedback. So with some effects, I'm thinking of something like maybe to add an external table delay like the El Capistan or the Volante. This would be transformed into one of the most gorgeous things ever. Let me turn up the time a little more. You know, if I can play in time, you know, that would help. Let me change the time a little, maybe. Oh wow, yeah. See, that is really really nice. I wish that the delays on this had some form of filtering, like you know, within the feedback network, so we could get maybe some low pass filtering in that. But you know, it is what it is. It's sequential's never really been known for their effects. I could be very wrong about that, but I can't think of a synth that has built-in effects from them where you just say, "Oh God, I need that sequential synth because it has really good built-in effects." Yes, I know it has the Oberheim name on it, but it really is just a Take 5 with different filters and 3.0 FM and a much cooler. Like, I don't know if it's cooler. I think the Take 5 has a really cool like livery on it too, but you know the lines, the 80s-ness on this is kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, so that's my harpsichord patch. Like I said, I wasn't planning on making a second video, but I am just in the creative mood and woof. Maybe now with the ADHD medication, I can finally commit and finish projects that I keep wanting to work on and make videos of. I think I'm going to bring out I'm going to continue my video series on effects on synths. I keep getting asked, like people ask me, somebody just recently asked me, I have a Moog Messenger, or a Moog, as in Moog, but Moog Messenger, and they wanted to know what kind of effect that I would recommend, and I said a delay. For me, a mono synth needs a delay. I mean, yes, you can get away with a reverb, but you get so much more character if you have a nice modulated delay or a nice ping pong delay or a tape delay even. Than you would just a reverb. So if you could only choose the one, I'm like, hey, if you have a mono synth, especially like something with like an MS-20, right? That thing just sounds amazing with a ping pong delay. But yeah, maybe my next video series, I'm going to focus on going back to effects on synths again and really like explaining what I would use in what scenario. So that could be really fun. All right, anyway, this has actually been one of my shorter videos. I'm kind of, like I said, laser focused on shit now, which is crazy. Sweating away over here having hot flashes, but laser focused. Maybe I'll go play a video game and be laser focused on that until like 3 in the morning and then have to work 2 hours later. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you like my content and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and subscribe. And I guess I'll be more lively in my videos like this. All right. See you next time. Bye.